Good evening. Hello, Tony.
Good evening. How are you this evening?
Good. Well, I'm home for Christmas, and my sister Christine put up the tree, which I have positioned my camera for all to enjoy.
Looks
Uh,
great.
I know she did a wonderful job. It's just beautiful. The wood box isn't so attractive, but it's in the shot too. Um, and you have Machu Picchu behind you, so
I
you
do.
know you're coming again from another exotic locale.
That's fun to do.
It is. Well, last week I believe it was from outer space.
It
Oh,
was. I
yes.
like to move around.
Well, and it's variety is the spice of life, my darling. It
That is so
is.
true. So
It
true.
is. How are Cherie and the kids doing? How's everyone doing?
Everyone's doing much better. We had some ill people for a while, but things are good. Yes, and thank you, Melissa. It is Cherie's birthday today, and she
And
had
that
a
was the
fantastic.
next that was my next comment is for all of us to wish your beautiful bride Cherie a happy birthday today. And also I would like to mention one of my nearest and dearest friends, Gail Shorten. It's her birthday today, and Gail and I
Wow.
owned a business together for the better part of a decade, and we lived together on a cottage at the lake for I don't know how many years, at least 12 years. I mean, this woman is like a permanent part of my life. And just before we did the show tonight, I was on the phone with her for the better part of an hour, just catching up. So it was a
Happy
wonderful
birthday,
celebration.
Gail.
Happy birthday, Gail. We celebrate you. We celebrate Cherie. And in fact, I have like 6 friends that have the same birthday today. Um,
Really?
yeah, it's strange. It's just one of those days that so many people I know fell on. So happy birthday to everyone who's celebrating today. Um,
Exactly.
uh, earlier in the week when I pinned Zaffis down, which is pretty easy to do because he's an old guy. I've literally picked him up and moved him from point A to point B in the past. No, it's really happened. I have witnesses. And
Wow.
you know, I knew he was off the road, or I was hoping he was off the road, because I've talked how many times all year long. We got to get Zaffis. We got to get Zaffis. Well, Zaffis was always here or there, or I was here or there. Sometimes we were even at the same place. And in
Well, he was
fact,
his travel schedule was the same. He was all over, and I
yeah,
think we had him on our show like I don't know 6-8 months ago. And I even said to him then, I'm like, when are you coming back on a World Awakening? And that was months and months ago.
yeah, he's a busy guy. I mean, I give him all the credit in the world because he does a lot of his own traveling. He goes hither, thither, and yon all over New England, and just takes himself. And I couldn't do what he does. I need help. I do. But, everybody in the paranormal world knows who John Zaffis is. And if they don't, I don't know what rock they sleep beneath, because
Exactly.
he is one of the most popular, one of the most accomplished, and certainly one of the most educated people in this field,
Agreed.
and could not have been trained better than he was, having worked for the length of time that he did with his aunt and uncle Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Right.
Ed taught him from a very young age. Well, I'll let John tell the story, but from a very young age, he was a part of a burgeoning field that his relatives were pioneers of. So
Right.
without further ado, let's bring on our very special guest tonight, Mr. John Zaffis.
Hi.
Oh, look at you. I know exactly where you're sitting. I know exactly where you are. I've been in that room with you.
Yes, you have.
I have. Yes, I have. And I believe we had George with us, and there was
Yeah.
there was a tour involved. We did the show live from your haunted museum
Huh?
that night. All kinds of stuff happened to me, John. I'm telling you, I didn't believe in haunted items until I went into your museum. And I had experiences there. I mean, we captured it all on the show that night.
Yeah.
But I had experiences there that I did not know could happen. Oh, look who's with us. We've got Deb and RJ. She misses your face. Erin says hi. The man, the myth, the legend himself. He's not a myth. He's real. He really is real.
Well, that depends on who you ask.
Yes, I know. We have Melissa and Lori, and a lot of our regular viewers are so excited to have you on the show. But no, that night you told me, do you remember? You stayed in your office and you told me, no, you were with George out on the back deck. And I was doing the tour inside with a microphone and giving you the feedback of the experiences that I was having. I was on I had my telephone with me and was, telling everybody what I was seeing, feeling, experiencing. And, that was back in the day when we were Blog Talk Radio. We were just audio. Yeah. So I had to describe what was happening in your extraordinary museum. I had never seen anything like it. And I didn't think that it was plausible that objects could hold such intense energy. I thought that it had to be somehow, us, I think that the human mind, when focused, is very, very powerful. And that, perhaps people were having experiences with objects or feeling things that they were literally creating themselves. And I was wrong. I was completely wrong about that. And I had experiences in your haunted museum that I've yet to have duplicated, coming in contact with anything else. There was a doll in a case, or some kind of a mat started moving. There was that closet that had all those leather clothing, and yeah, okay, we don't have to go into detail, but let's just say it was active in the closet.
I hope so, with all that leather stuff in there.
I know, huh? Oh, baby, get the whip out. No, did I just say that out loud? I did. Oh, God.
I bring the worst out in you.
Absolutely the worst. The worst. So for anybody out there that doesn't know your background, please, go back to, and before we even go any further, my father said, if I can't even get but a few minutes into the show without telling you how much he adores you. Now, he didn't put it that way, but I know that he adores you. And my father is very gullible, which you picked up on quite early after meeting him. And you would make shit up as you went along and then add more to it. And then tell him this glorified story, grandiose story that he completely fell for because it was you telling him. And so, of course, it had to be true. I mean, it must have taken me 3 or 4 years to convince him that you're just really good at what you do. And
I still can remember that when, again,
at the theater. Yeah.
Doing it, and we were going back and forth, and he just did Roger. He just stood there. He had that look on his face. And then I can't remember what part or when it was, but all of a sudden he confronted you about it. And all as I can remember is you saying, you freaking believe what the hell he's telling you? And it went back. And I remember I was laughing so hard. And then a couple of times afterwards, he goes, did that happen? Did that happen? And I go, like that. And he'll look at me and just shake his head back and forth. To this day, I still laugh over that.
Oh my God, so funny. Actually, we did meet. Do you remember? Oh my God, I think I was maybe 18, maybe 18.
Yep.
And I had to have been because I was in a bar. And I walked in and you were sitting at the bar with somebody who I believe was in the military, a friend
Correct.
of yours that was in the
Correct.
military. And you, as I'm walking past you, you're looking at me like, I know her. How
Mhm.
do I know her? Where is that? I know that woman.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's because you had seen photographs of, we had not met yet in person, but I'm sure that you saw photographs of us, with Ed and Lorraine, and knew the story from them.
Yeah.
And you had a moment of recognition, and I had a moment of recognition with you. It didn't occur to me that I wouldn't actually meet you or get to know you for several more decades.
Yeah. Yeah.
But isn't that amazing that our paths crossed in a disco bar with a ball in the center of the room back in the late 70s? That's how far we go back. And we
I
connected.
know it.
I looked directly into your eyes. And
Yeah.
I will admit, I thought, that's a handsome man. No, that's a handsome man.
As all as I know is I remember it was the time framing. There was three of us. We were driving back from an investigation. One of the other guys that was with us wanted to stop. We went in, and again, the only thing I remember is I looked, and I'm looking across, and I'm going, I know her. I know her. And I kept looking and kept looking. And to this day, I still always say to you, how did I recognize you? With those baby blues. And you always laugh and you say, well, I can't discredit that. That's all I can remember is I go, that's her from the haunted farm. I said, I recognize those freaking baby blues from the pictures. Yeah. And again, that's so many years later, whoever knew down the road, many years later, after it all and hearing the stories and listening to my uncle, talk about everything, that the day would ever come where I'd end up going to the farm, meeting you. You and I have lectured a few times together. We've done panels together. We've done a lot of different things. And, we ended up becoming very good friends. And again, it's far and few in between with a lot of us that, we actually become friends. We can argue, we can disagree on things, but we're still friends. Yeah. And again, there's a handful of us that are like that. And that's the coolest thing, when you have that establishment there. But it was funny because, again, the one thing I always wished for, but unfortunately it would have never happened, Ed would have gotten the biggest freaking kick out of it. Yes. I could hear him now.
Yeah, but
I knew you two were going to be friends. Ed
knows. Yeah. Ed knows.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, again, that there's no doubt as far as that and just the connection with so many different things. It's, again, it's a cool thing. It's a happy thing.
It is. It's a happy thing. And you're right. I think about those of us that are really tight in this field. I'm like the new kid on the block. I've only been around telling my story a little more than a decade. And you and Tenny and Chip, Coffee, and, there's just a handful of people in this field that have been at this for decades and decades. Of course, we lost, our beautiful Rosemary. And she was the grande dame of the paranormal, the most well-published writer in the field ever. Just an extraordinary influence on all of us. I know particularly you had a very close friendship with her. but we really, and she mentored me. I mean, she was wonderful with me. Just took me in under her wing immediately, not knowing who I was, only knowing a modicum of the backstory of the farm, and yet automatically just accepting me in and, coming on our show and speaking with me privately and helping me, through who knows how many little obstacles we face as, we're publishing or, doing what we're doing. She was always a wealth of resource of information but mostly just, extremely supportive.
Yeah.
And I think of her often and I miss her a lot. But when you think about it, there's just really a handful of people. We've all kind of been through the same thing together. And yeah, we can mix it up and argue. I mean, I saw Tenny and Chip get into it one time. I was like, oh my God, these two, whoa, somebody's going to get hurt. And then, once the points were made and everything was done, it was, they just embraced each other and knocked back a drink and, just because we love each other, we respect each other, we understand each other and what we go through to get our message out into the world. And people do think that we live this very glamorous life, but you drive yourself almost exclusively solo all over the Northeast. Yeah. I'm always on a plane somewhere, and it's not glamorous living out of a suitcase and in a different bed every other night and, home for 2 days and then out again, long enough to do the laundry, iron a few things, repack and go. Yeah. It's hard and it's very draining. And so people think that we're odd because when we're home, we're very reclusive. Well, there's a reason for that.
But again, too, it's where a lot of times when, especially with the fall, after October, it's like decompressed time. And there's all of us are the same way. It's like November, it's like everybody just falls off the map. So to speak. Actually, I was just going back and forth with Timmy Shaw. Shaw and him and I go back to when Jesus Christ was walking around. Yep. But anyhow, so him and I were just talking and going back and forth about that. With the, but the key thing that I always did, and I've always enjoyed that, is the fall time. Is that when I just get in the car and I just drive around by myself.
It's so beautiful up there, isn't it? So beautiful.
I love just driving around. I do all, just the New England area now, especially in the fall, because I could drive from one place to the next place. I'm okay with that. You tell me I got to fly, I got to take a happy pill. But again, it's just the fact that you worry about the flight getting there, just the flight getting out of the airport, let alone trying to get to your destination. But that's why I drive around most of the time with any place that I possibly can. So, it gives me that time to think, and that's when I start just mulling over a lot of different things, thinking about different things, because I have that. I'm just by myself. Because again, too. It's going to get to that point. Yeah. Well, I'm going to finally need somebody else, driving with me or helping me out with it, because I'm going to get to, again, it's just the nature of it. But, again, I enjoy that. I enjoy spontaneous running into Can I share how I always, when I sneak up on you or I show up someplace and okay.
Yes, you may.
You guys will love this story. Nobody knew I was going to stop at the Conjuring. Well, I'm sorry, Cody did. I mentioned it to Cody when I said I might be able to swing by but anyways, so we were all downstairs in the smaller room down below, several of us. Yeah. And they're going, what are you going to do? Just walk up to her? I go, no. I says, watch what I do. I said, now I'm going to yell, but don't get nervous. And I says, and I'm going to tell you what the response is. And what do? Every time I'll walk around and go, Audrey! And Everybody stopped. Everybody got quiet, and I go, "She's going to say, who the hell let him in here?" And you did. It was. And they were like, "Oh my God, you knew it to a T." I go, because that's standard for us.
Yeah. Well, and they don't even know the backstory of that. But there, years and years ago, there was, I won't even say his name and dignify his existence, but years and years ago, there was this jerk online who decided to trash me and my family for no particular reason other than he had too much time on his hands. He knew nothing of our backstory. He watched The Conjuring. It was right after The Conjuring came out, and decided that it was a piece of trash and we were all liars, and decided to do everything in his power to hurt me online, right? When I'm just kind of getting going and, getting our real story out, the real story behind the film, which, because you were so involved with A Haunting in Connecticut, how Hollywood can take a perfectly legitimate story and twist it into something else entirely. Because
that's why I always say to you, don't ever take it as a fact that, again, there isn't any movie out there, Andrea, that I haven't seen them take their liberties, do what they do. That's why I know how upset you get about it, but I look at it from this, and you and I've talked about that. Yeah. You've gotten your books out there. You've moved forward. People know who you are. They know the family. Yeah. They know all, So, again, even though I look at it the same way, especially when it comes to Haunted in Connecticut, and I just juggle it and go, but that's okay. It got out there. The story got out there. Yeah. Now, when I talk, and a lot of times people say the same thing. They go, well, that's not what's in the movie. And I go, because that's a movie. Right. That's TV land and, movie land. And, again, I've just become so numb to all of it. It just none of that stuff phases me anymore. It just doesn't. Yeah, I'll just sit there and get my popcorn and my chocolate milk ready and just go, okay, just sit here, watch and prepare myself for what's going to show, what isn't going to show, who's playing this character, who did that. It's just it's the nature of it.
It is. It really is.
I take it and I use it as a tool, as far as it was something that I was a part of. And, when Carmen's out there speaking, she tells her version. I tell my version. Yeah. You tell your version of the things. And again, I'm just so used to it, just going all the way back to Amityville and the Entity, I go, they blew him so out of proportion from what, the thing. But anyhow, it just helps us as far as, us being able to get established. And that was a key plus with that.
Well, you came to my aid. I don't know if you even remember this because it was a long time ago, but George had Dead Air Paranormal, and he invited this guy on to his show that was trashing my family. And this guy did not know that George was my friend, did not know that we were doing a show together, did not know anything. The guy was just completely clueless about what was happening in the paranormal at the time. And he came on and started trying to trash me, and he couldn't remember. This might jog your memory. He couldn't remember that my name was Andrea. So he started calling me Audrey. And you called into the show, and then I called into the show, and we set him straight. And I set him so straight that he shut down his internet presence. And the last thing I heard about him, he disappeared. He was offline after that night when I let him have it. I just let him have it. Never raised my voice, just spoke right about here. But I took that man to pieces. And finally, he was as dumb as a stone. And I don't mean to insult stones, because I find them, pretty intelligent. But dirt,
I wouldn't
insult dirt. You just stupid as, I don't know. But Yeah, he ended up leaving the country. I don't know if you know that. He ended up leaving the country. He moved from California to Canada and disappeared. So, the power of radio, my friend. And you and George and several other people stood up for me, and then I came in and I finished him off. But that's where Audrey came from. So whenever I hear Audrey being screamed in the background of somewhere, I'm like, oh my God, he's here. How did this happen? It was, oh my God, it was John. I have to tell you, I was so thrilled. And the thing that was most bizarre is I had you on Saturday night, and then I had Tenny, my other son, on Sunday night. He and Jessica flew in. She made all the arrangements. I think she surprised him as much as they surprised me. And flew from Detroit to Boston, drove down from Logan to the farm, stayed for about 4 hours, turned around, drove back to Logan, turned in the rental car, and then waited till 5 o'clock in the morning to board a flight back to Detroit so that he could surprise me on Halloween at the farm. Now I have to ask you, and I'm not being facetious, what kind of friends do I have that track me down like stalkers and come and just show up and make my life magical? Oh, it was so great to see you. In fact, anybody that wants to see it can go to my Facebook page, because when I announced tonight, kind of a special announcement that you were going to be on the show, I went back, I started going back through my pictures, and I didn't have to go back far. And I'm like, oh my God, there I am with John. I thought I was going to have to, really scroll. And because we did several events together this year that we had photos together, but there you were. And I'm like, oh shit, where was that? Oh my God, it's the farm. It was, it was looking at and I'm thinking, okay, when did you wear that outfit? And then I looked at the wallpaper and I'm like, oh my God, we're in the summer kitchen at the farm. So I don't remember who took the picture and sent it to me, but I downloaded it and there it was. So I posted it if anybody wants it. And that was wonderful. I know it would have been so much easier for you to just go from point A to point B and settle into your hotel room and you went out of your way to come see me there. And I have to tell you, it means the world to me. You mean the world to me. In fact, you mean the world to me to the extent that it feels very weird referring to you as my friend, because, and I have a lot of people I love, and I have a lot of friends, and I've got friends that go back all the way to my childhood. Really, I do. But you're like something else. I feel like you're part of my family, and my whole family adores you.
Thank you.
So yeah, you've kind of been sucked into the Perrin clan, like it or not.
Well, I always get a kick out of it when you and I are on the phone, and then Christine and I will start, and your mother will be cackling because we go back and forth, and it's comical and it's funny, and it's a beautiful, nice thing, to be able to connect with people that you always heard about, or the different stories of hearing them when Ed would speak of them and different things like that. And then when it all comes together, it's like that kinship is already there.
Yes, it's established.
So again, with so much, with different things or different scenarios, it's always cool because that connection is there beyond all other things. So that's always going to be a cool thing.
It is. And the thing is that you knew about us long before we knew about you. Mm-hmm. And from a very unique perspective from Ed and Lorraine. Mm-hmm. And so you started forming an opinion and knowing what they had experienced at the farm,
Mm-hmm.
knew that what we were saying was real.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you were very young. I mean, you're only a few minutes older than I am. You were very young, and I'm sure it's one of the first cases that they shared the details of with you, because you were just kind of coming in as an apprentice and a student of your uncle predominantly, if I recall correctly, and that he was kind of a guiding force in terms of, well, he altered your entire life. He sparked that inquisitive part of your nature where you always need to know more. You're always searching more. You're researching more. You're investigating more. You're one of the people that goes out into the field and throws himself in. You've worked with numerous priests. You've worked, with people who have been, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, but you have either assisted or certainly witnessed exorcisms.
Oh, yeah. Exorcisms, deliverances, worked with shamans, medicine men, rabbis, priests, ministers. There really isn't I don't even know of anything I haven't either experienced or got myself involved with.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that, again, comes from an earlier period, because when I did start getting interested in the fact of demonology, trying to figure out if any of this was for real, do these things occur, do they happen? I was fortunate enough where I was able to get exposed to certain things. Now back in the late 70s and into the early 80s, you just didn't talk about this stuff. You didn't bring it up. You didn't. Right. It just didn't happen. But having those opportunities to jump in the car with them and going to drop off a plate of pierogies or something for them, and I go end up at a freaking Buddhist exorcism or something. How does that happen? You know what I mean? Who can say that these things would occur or happen? Or, pulling up at their house and, okay, I just brought some of the soup, and Lorraine will go, okay, dear, put it in the refrigerator. Come on, we're going. Where are we going? And, sometimes I would not come back to the following day, and my mother would freak out. Yeah, remember, we were still back in the time frame where we just had the landlines, no cell phones or computers or anything like that. And it was always bizarre to watch the circumstances of it, because she did not want me getting involved with any of it. My mother never wanted anything to do with the paranormal, nothing. Mm-hmm. And I would get more pulled into it. And I can remember different points of times when we'd be sitting there and he'd be talking about things. And my mother would just look at him and go, Warren, like that. But it didn't register, Annie. None of that registered back then until years later. Mm-hmm. And, she, then the more when I started getting more and more involved with it and everything, she would get freaked out over it. She goes, at least I know you're with my brother. Mm-hmm. And she said that's the best way I can look at look at it. Mm-hmm. And again, too, even sometimes, she would be sitting there and, where did you go? And I go, well, we ended up going, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, Johnny. I don't want to hear it. And she would do that. She would just do that. And I used to laugh a lot of times about it. So again, it takes me a step back in time now, looking at that, because for so many years people would say, well, what was it like working with Ed and Lorraine Warren? I go, I don't know. They were my aunt and uncle and they chased freaking ghosts. What do you want me to tell you? Because that's how I always viewed it and the way I always looked at it. Yeah. So, but again, it was the basis of seeing and comprehending what so many of them seen that I did not.
Yes.
They saw that, Bishop McKenna and, Ed and several other, people that were involved with working with them and everything. They would always say, well, it's in your blood. It's in your blood.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what the
Yeah.
frick are you talking about?
No,
So
but it is.
it technically is. I had been asked not that long ago, a very old friend of Ed and Lorraine's, and they had just said to me, they go, John, was your grandfather involved with any of this stuff? And I go, it's so odd. I said that, you would even ask anything like that. I said, was he directly involved with anything? Not necessarily. But my grandfather was extremely tied in with the Roman Catholic Church. And several of my cousins had told me afterwards, Johnny, he was part of the prayer group when they used to do the exorcisms. I went, what?
What?
I go, I said, I never even heard my uncle even talk about that.
Wow.
And they're going, yeah, well, because your grandfather would never talk about any of this stuff. But he was, with the prayer groups and being involved with the church, he was involved with several of them that were praying in the background, when different things were going on. So your grandfather was very aware of it. And that's why your grandfather didn't want Warren getting involved with the paranormal. I go, I've never heard this until cousins had told me about it.
Wow.
And it just took me back, and I went, wow, that's really weird, the concept of it. And they go, Johnny, you got to remember, he was from that time frame and you didn't talk about any of that stuff. Now, he passed away when I was 4 years old, so I wouldn't have known anything about it. No, but I was very thankful, to several of the cousins. They're not with us anymore either, but when they started telling me about it and sharing some of it, then I would ask one of the other cousins and they go, well, you didn't know that? And I go, no, I never knew anything about it. My uncle never even brought it up or mentioned it. I said, so no, I was never aware of any of it, but I was glad to finally hear about it and know about it. And it explained why my grandfather was so against him getting involved with any of it.
Yep. That understood.
Yeah.
Well, that the same is true. Alexandra Holzer said her father would get together in her house. I'm sure you know this story from her. When she was a little itty bitty kid, they had a big round table in the dining room, and the men and these were scientists, quantum physicists, like people at the very, very upper echelon of scientific inquiry that were his personal friends.
Yeah.
And they would get together and they would talk about ghosts and entities and UFOs and, and all things paranormal. And she would sit underneath the table in the center under this huge tablecloth where she couldn't be seen. And they would all pull up with their cigars and their cognac and would sit around the table and talk for hours and hours very openly with each other in a very trusting way about subjects that no one talked about back in those days. And that's where she came by it too, because she was absorbing it. And I think in a way you kind of absorbed it by osmosis, because you had a natural curiosity that you came by some way or another. Did you have any early experiences in life, John?
I've been told I'd had, but again, I don't know. But the first thing that I go back to, I think we were 15 years old, and we had a very, very famous house here in Stratford, Connecticut called Phelps Mansion. Worldwide, this place was investigated by people that came in from everywhere to investigate. Unfortunately, it got torn down in the 70s. But I still can remember the point of it, of going with two of my buddies. It wasn't that far away from where I am. And it was Shakespeare Theater was built on part of the original property.
Yes.
Actually, I think we were there one time when you guys were here. I took you down into the area, I think, if I remember right.
Yes.
But anyhow,
if you recall, yep.
Right near the water. Yes. But anyhow, we experienced things. We had different things going on and everything. And, it was just wild and it was crazy. But to this day, still, hearing certain sounds or hearing certain things takes me right back to that night, right back to that time framing that when I remember that when, because I remember we all ran out of there. I think it was maybe 10, 11 o'clock at night. It wasn't really super, super late, but that was my very first encounter with dealing with anything associated with haunted things. And then years later, growing up in the 70s, we were all one night out in the cemetery. We're driving through the cemetery. Everybody, was partying. Kumbaya. But anyhow, they threw me out of the car and left me in the cemetery. I'll never forget that. And I crawled up onto a tombstone screaming my bloody lungs out for somebody to come get me because I was petrified to stay in the cemetery. I remember telling my uncle that story and he goes, some freaking ghost hunter you are.
Nice.
But, you look back at those things and they stay with you. You don't forget them or anything. But again, with learning and being involved with that back in the time framing, if you ever told me that, I was going to go from being involved with the pharmaceutical field and engineering and making, laparoscopic things that they use today to operate and everything, to going out chasing Casper the Ghost around, I would have never believed it. Never. Never in a million years.
Well, apparently George is in the house watching. And, one of the things that is one of my fondest memories, other than you getting an ice cream cone from the Annabelle ice cream truck at the theater, which we have pictures of, we have photographs.
Yeah.
I remember George and I went on one of our trips to do a book tour up through New England, and we were going to the Ocean State Paracon. We had some other events to do as well. And you were gracious enough to let us stay with you at your house with your lovely wife, Cheryl. And we had a blast. You ran us all over Stratford. We got to see the cemetery. We got to see some of the most beautiful homes and the ocean front. And you took us to lunch at this fabulous restaurant. And as we're leaving the restaurant, I don't remember if it was you or George, and it could have been either one of you. One of you. No, really, it could have been.
Were we harassing you?
Yeah. and so one of you walked up to a state police officer sitting in his car. I think it was you. And introduced me, called me over, introduced me, and then asked him out of the blue if he was a fan of Ancient Aliens so that I could talk to him about UFOs.
That had to be George. That had to be George.
Okay. And I was like, you want to fuck with me? I'll show you how to fuck with me, okay? Because if you do, you're going to get it back double barrel. You know that. And yet you persist. Oh, Dad said to please throw some trash at you. So at some point I'll find something to wad up and throw at the camera.
That's another thing. Now people are going to understand that when we're at the conventions and everybody, we're all doing our things and everything. I take wads of paper and I just start throwing them at all the other people at their tables.
Yeah.
Or I'll go over and start doing, different things.
Yeah.
And I'm also notoriously known for walking up on stage when these poor people are trying to present and talk.
One year. I'm one of them. It's, I am one of them. You remember what you did behind the panel when I had my whole family up on the stage? You remember?
Yes, when I put
You came out dressed as a ghost and walked behind all
yeah,
of us.
but you're not telling them what it was. It was a black tablecloth.
It was a black tent.
And I kept walking across the stage and I had my arms going up and down. Bathsheba! Bathsheba! Got your poor sister so nervous. I think it was Nancy. And she was just like, didn't know what to make of it or anything. You were laughing. Roger's asking you. And at that point in time, your sister just really backed up because she had no clue who the heck I was. So I think you just froze. Oh, there you are.
No, I'm here. I have no idea what that was, but
yeah, because
I think everybody could hear us. They just couldn't see us for a moment.
Because I was talking about Bathsheba, that's why.
Yeah, well, and I meant to tell you before we even started that if we start to get into certain subjects, that shit like this happens. And all my viewers know that. They know. Yeah, they do. Yes, that was particularly, I think, and it was later that night when you had all of my sisters rolling on the floor laughing and told them that you had called home to share and asked if you could bring home several sister wives with you. And her response was, well, you'd better check with Andrea first.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, but you're leaving out the best part.
I am, as I give you an opportunity to tell.
Okay, because I walked over to Roger and I said, I think they're all my sister wives. And he looked at me and goes, good, take them.
Please, feel free to take them off with him. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, it's we have a history that goes way back, but I have to finish the story about the state trooper because the state trooper's eyes got as big as flying saucers when he was asked the question about ancient aliens, and he got out of his car and we stood there for about 20 minutes talking about UFOs, which I know makes your skin crawl. I know it does. And George to an extent as well, because both of you are fraidy cats and you think there's going to be probing involved. And yeah, okay. Well, do you know how that looks on screen? Do you even know how that looks on screen? Really? Have you got a reverse camera that shows?
I can see you blushing.
Oh God. Yeah. So not only did I prove to both of you that I could make an insto friend with a Connecticut state trooper, but that everybody loves ancient aliens, but not everybody will admit that that's their guilty pleasure. And so we did that. But do you remember when you were talking to your agent, you were sitting in the car, you took us to the cemetery where Ed is buried.
Mm-hmm.
And you were sitting in your car, in your red car, which was a snazzy car. Do you still have that car?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's a very snazzy car. I loved it. And you were on the phone with your agent and you pointed us in the direction of Ed's gravestone. And we went over there and George brought a spirit box. And and then Ed started coming through. And it got real busy. I mean, there was a lot of activity on the spirit box, but Ed came through and I told George that I recognized his voice and he said, go get John. And I ran over to the car and found you and got you off the phone and brought you over. And then I stepped away because I was trying to keep a lot of that is a very, very active cemetery. And I didn't know why particularly, but it was. And so I was trying to keep everybody else at bay while you had some time with your uncle. And he said some things to you that were I mean, not only did I recognize his voice, I'm sure you did as well instantly, but he was saying things to you that the only explanation for it was that it was Ed Warren talking to John Zaffis. Mm-hmm. And even called you his nickname for you. came through loud and clear. And I was just blown away by what I was hearing. And then when it was all over, George handed you the recording. And, you know, it was up to you from that point on whether you ever shared anything of, you know, your private conversation, which you never have. You never have shared anything publicly about it.
No, George has that. I don't have that.
Oh, he doesn't? Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, if he ever wants to share that publicly, I have no problem whatsoever. None.
Okay.
You know, again.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He said he wouldn't share anything publicly, that it was just.
I know that he's got my permission. That, again, over the course of the years, with the amount of communications with so many different people, you know, to me, I look at that, you know, as the fact that the more that's out there, the more that backs that these things do occur, these things do happen.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the most intense situations I ever seen was that I was doing a event at a theater, and good friends of my aunt and uncles, Terry and Frank Giaffari, had come out. You might have even met them over the years, because that's how long they've.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyhow, they had come to the event, and I had the equipment set up, and you know, I said, you might be lucky, you know, tonight, and you know, I said he might come through, and I said Lorraine's been coming through these days too, and you know, we were doing the thing, the chit chat, and they were asking questions back and forth, and threw out their names, answered some of their questions, went back and forth. Ed and I started arguing. It gets to the point now he tells me to shut up. I tell him to shut up because he overtakes everything. And I go, you have to let the other spirits come through. Shut up. And it just banters back and forth. And it amazed me, because the simple fact that the both of them afterwards, we were out and back in the lobby, and we were just chit-chatting, and the both of them were like, if anybody could verify the simple fact that there is spirit afterwards, you just did it. He goes, you were going back and forth with him and Lorraine, like the three of us were sitting there arguing like, you know, everybody used to do. I go, I know, you wouldn't even know they were gone. I said, this just goes on. I said, it doesn't, you know. And it was just, it solidified, and it made them feel good, that the fact that they communicated with them, because he kept saying Frank. And then Lorraine would pop up and go back and forth. And then Terry asked a couple of questions. And like Terry said afterwards, she goes, I heard those responses. She says, you can't make this shit up.
No.
I said, no. I said, it occurs and it happens. I said, so anyways, leading up to it, that there's just been so many people and so many different scenarios that I think it's cool when people put it out there and they share it, because again, it verifies it, you know, it does occur and does happen.
Yeah, it does. And, you know, and you and I have the exact same philosophy about that, you know, share everything. You know, there are so many people in this field that, you know, will get a really great Class A EVP and then, you know, hoard it like all mine, almost like they're afraid that somebody's going to accuse them of faking evidence, or because it's so good that it wouldn't be trusted. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but there are a lot of people that work in this field that unfortunately know that it is it's kind of a self-devouring beast. It eats its own young. And I don't know why, but everybody, you know, scrutinizes everybody else's stuff to the point where they take it down, because it's not that they're being attacked from outside the paranormal. They're being attacked from inside the paranormal. And it's very disconcerting and it's very disheartening. And you want to share everything and let it be enlightening and illuminating, and, you know, let it be transcendent. And they're like, that's faked. That's so good. That can't even be real. Somebody did that in the studio. You know, when they know nothing, they don't know how the evidence was collected, who was there to witness it. Do you remember? I'm going to get off, trashing people that do shit like that. Remember the night that we were at Slater Mill in downtown Pawtucket, and you got that Class A EVP of a little boy yelling, help me?
Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
that was captured down in the back where the machinery was, if my memory is serving me right.
perfectly. Yes, exactly right. That's
Do you know,
exactly
I
right.
don't even know what happened to that EVP. I don't know George might even have that one.
George might have that one.
Yeah,
I think
which
George
would be
has been
cool. Yeah.
hoarding our evidence for years, actually. We'll have to I'm not only is he a stalker, he's a hoarder. So yeah, I have the most remarkable, marvelous men in my life, in my world. I mean, I've got you, I've got Tim Shaw, I've got George Lopez, I've got John Tenney, I've got Chip Coffey, I've got like all these great guys that are nut jobs. I mean, each and every one of you is so distinct and, unique and always seeking the next episode of supernatural shenanigans. Always.
Oh,
Oh, and
always.
let's not forget Ken DaCosta. Let's not forget
That's
him.
right.
Oh my God. I'm a lucky girl. I am. I got the best guys in the world. And the thing is, like, for instance, well, you've taught me a lot about a lot of different things. George taught me really how to investigate, because I didn't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I had never technically done that before.
But he's good because
He's
George
good.
likes to look for the factual things. He likes to be able to
Very
debunk
scientific,
things.
pragmatic minded
Yes,
man.
which makes him a very good researcher.
Yes.
And again, with that's a good healthy way to always look at things and understand things. Then when something throws in that 60-degree turn on you,
Yeah.
it can help you to process some of it.
Mm-hmm.
And make you realize, okay, the possibilities are there. They're endless.
Yeah.
On re-evaluating, because I always say that too. Most of us are students of the paranormal.
Right.
Again, there's so many different ways we view things, the way we look at things. So many of my views over the past years have changed.
Yeah, mine too.
They do.
And you're
they
part
change.
of the reason why, case in point. I didn't believe in haunted objects. I didn't think that was a possibility until you introduced me to some of them.
Mm-hmm.
There was no denying it after that.
Again, it's the fact of always being able to take that step back and reevaluate something. That's how I look at it, and always want to keep that open mind with it. Okay, a good way I look at things is that with poltergeist cases, I came from that time framing where something happened, something got broke, something got thrown, somebody got scratched or pushed. It was a devil and a demon. I don't look at it that way anymore.
No.
It's PK, psychic kinetic energy, and certain people have the ability to tap into it and make it do things. Can they bring something in on a negative level? Yes, but not all the times does it ever occur or happen that way.
Yeah.
So
it's very rare, actually. That kind of a negative entity is very rare. I've never encountered a demon. A
lot of people haven't.
I have encountered and witnessed pure evil attack my mother, but I've not seen. Now, a couple of my sisters have seen something that I suppose to some people, and I know they spoke about it with you privately. The thing that they saw on the wall in the middle bedroom, that scared the bejesus out of them. I mean, like, so bad. But no, Sammy, mommy's in the middle of her show. There are dogs. There are suddenly dogs at my feet that were supposed to be with the mother unit and the sister. Nobody's going out yet because my show's only half done. So go get a toy. Go get a toy. Oh, God. Sorry, dogs. Well, you have dogs.
That's fine by me.
Yeah.
That don't bother me.
I know. They're the best. They're so sweet. Want to say hi to Uncle Johnny? He's in the camera on the TV thing here. They'll be back. So anyway, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I remember earlier I was thinking, oh my God, I've got so much that I can talk to John about. So many different experiences that we've had. And there were two in particular that I wanted to, number one, bust your chops about. And number two, share with people. And this is the perfect time to delve into that. We're going to do the serious one first. Do you remember when you and I were sitting outside on the terrace of the hotel in the Berkshires near Lenox, Massachusetts, when we did the Mass Barracon with Sam Beltrusis about 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. And Tenny was sitting out there.
Yes.
And he got me a really wicked good cup of coffee. And we were sitting and we were just talking amongst ourselves. And we had just a couple of different people with us. I believe Irena and Aldana were with us. And, maybe one other person.
Amy, my daughter was sitting there too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it was not long, maybe 6-8 months after Lorraine had passed. And I told you about an incident that happened at my house in Florida about 2 weeks after she passed away.
Okay.
Where the TV exploded with sound. It sounded like everything was coming out of the woodwork, out of the pores in the holes of the walls, like oozing sound coming from everywhere. We had surround sound for the television, but we had just replaced the carpet, so none of it was hooked up yet.
Mm-hmm.
And this explosion of noise came out of the big ass TV in the parlor, and Dad had already gone off to his side of the house. I mean, he had shut the house down and gone to what I like to call the East Wing. And I was in my room in the West Wing watching television, something else entirely. And the house exploded with sound, exploded. And we both came running out of our respective rooms, met halfway down the hallway, had to cover our ears because the sound was so loud. And he couldn't hear what I heard. All he heard was an explosion of sound, but it was like white noise. It didn't make any sense to him. Meanwhile, what I'm hearing is a man say, she held it at bay for 60 years. And now it is unleashed in the world.
Actually, you and I were standing at the table.
Standing at the table. You came bolt upright out of your chair and said, that was Lorraine. She's passing the torch to you.
I remember when we were standing there, we were at the table. We were at a table. Now, unless I'm thinking of two different situations.
No,
but
it was a big round wrought iron table. And remember, right after I told you this, the maitre d' came out and got us and said, you all have to come in. There are bears spotted in the woods. And we're like, oh, bears. Okay, well, we'll go in the lobby, or, we'll go inside now. But yeah.
Gosh, I must have been drunk. I'm not even remember that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, no, you might have already been inside, because I know Tenny and I had to get up and leave because we're like, well, first, my response was, oh, I love bears. I mean, yeah, and I do. I love bears. And the gentleman was like, no, ma'am, you don't understand. There are bears here and you have to come inside the building. But it was, earlier when Tenny just stared at me like the whole time that I told this story about this noise coming through, and this man who was talking about this woman and what she held back. And then all I heard was what, I guess, if you had to describe it, and now allow me to preface this with, I have never, ever been a believer in either heaven or hell. I think that both exist simultaneously right here on this planet. I don't think that there's some particular place that we go to either way, and in that respect, I just don't follow the teachings that I was raised with in the Catholic Church. But what I heard, John, was thousands and thousands of voices screaming and yelling and crying for help, begging for help. And then I heard Lorraine's voice saying, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." And meanwhile, my father is fighting with the remote, trying to turn. There's nothing on the screen. The screen is completely black. The sound is bursting out of all of the speakers, none of which were connected. The only speaker that was actually working was in the television. He hadn't reconnected any of the surround sound. And he was trying to turn off the TV. And I'm screaming, "Oh my God, oh my God, this is, oh my God, this is, do you hear this, Dad? Do you hear this?" And he's like, "Hear what? Hear what?" I mean, we almost came to blows with each other, like yelling at each other, because we had to yell at each other even to be heard. And I mean, I just felt like I was getting more and more and more emotional because I was hearing the pitiful, pleading voices of men, women, children. I mean, it was awful. It was the first time that I had to consider that maybe hell is a place that exists. And I reached over and picked up a remote that for some reason was still sitting on our coffee table, just a little tiny remote that went to something, a piece of equipment we no longer even owned. But the remote never went out in the trash with the thing that broke. I think it was a DVD player or something. And I picked it up and I held it in my hand and I went to touch the red button just to see if there was any way to stop the sound. And before I touched the button, the sound was gone. It was just, and my ears, like when you go to a rock concert and you come out and your ears are just reverberating and you've done damage to your hearing for hours of that kind of decibel level of noise. And I told you about that. And John Tenney stared at me the whole time I told him what happened. And it was like 6 months later. And you stood up and you said, "That was Lorraine. That was Lorraine." And you, the look on your face, John, was like, and I remember saying, "Well, what if she's, trying to somehow get me to step into her shoes? I'm not worthy. I'm just not worthy. I can't do what Lorraine did. I don't want that responsibility. I'm all about light and love. I don't want to spend the rest of my life going around talking about the darkness, that there is something that is very dark and very evil and very painful and very disconcerting going on in the universe, because I heard it with my own ears. I heard it. I was privy to it for minute after minute after minute until we were finally able to shut it down. And I was shaken. I went and sat out on the terrace and my father came out and I was like, "You had to hear what was being said." I mean, that man spoke very clearly and succinctly. You had to hear what I heard. And he just looked at me and he said, "The message wasn't for me. It was for you." I don't want the responsibility. I can never, ever come close to what Ed and Lorraine accomplished in their lives, and nor am I capable of conducting the level of research that you do, or that Tenny does, or that George does, or I'm just an experiencer. I have the experiences, I talk about the experiences, I share the experiences, and I listen to other people's experiences and let them know that I believe them, which is the most healing, wonderful thing that I can do, interacting with another human being. Well, you do all of that and more. And that's, I guess in a way, that's always kind of bothered me. I mean, because you seemed to know immediately what that message was about, but we didn't talk about it more after that. We didn't talk about, like, had you ever in your life heard something like that? I've always wanted to ask you that question.
Yes. Yes. Actually, several different times I've had experiences where, something is so amplified. And it's always been when I've least expected something like that to occur and happen. So again, with that, I comprehend it and I understand it, but I also take it as a fact of, thinking it's multiple layer of different things that occur and happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a very firm believer in that there's at different points when experiences occur or we witness something, it's meant to let us know something. There's something to be known, that there's something approaching. It's just the way I interpret it and the way I look at it. Now, again, too, a lot of times when you hear or you get things that come through, especially with audibly, it's definitely layered. There's no doubt with that, because I believe in the fact that we do have the different planes that are out there. Again, exactly what they are or what actually happens, I don't know. Just like with a lot of things, we have a lot of our theories. Everything is theory. So again, with that, that's the way I look at it and would comprehend different experiences. That could have been multiple, that could have been occurring or could have been happening, with this scenario, to just basically let you know of something that was approaching and something that was getting ready to happen.
Yes, I was being forewarned.
That's how I look at a lot of that stuff, where, it's a fact of that, it was sent to let you know of that. I think one of the most profound situations, people will say to me that, have you ever seen angels or the angelic? Well, I don't refer to the angelic and angels like people do with the fluffy wings and the halos. I don't interpret it that way. They are huge. They are very bright light. And that's how I interpret it. They're very strong. They're very powerful. They come in, do what they need to do, and they're right back out. So, my interpretation of that has changed, over the course of years when those certain circumstances happen. So again, the best way I can relate with that and refer to that, I know it's something very positive, because the spectrum of light is blinding.
Yes.
So again, in interpreting things, I always try to do it where people can understand. Is my Christine in the room?
No, I just got a bright white flash over here.
Oh, well, that my Christine's in the room.
No,
then.
it's the picture of...
It's Christine!
Well, she has retired for the evening, darling. I will call her and get her ass out here to see you. No, right at the top of the mantle board, there's a picture of April, my sister April.
See?
And just as you were speaking, I saw this bright white flash, and I looked over
Again.
and there's her smiling face. Yeah, I'll text Christy and tell her to get her ass out here and say hello.
Again, it's the fact that that's what I mean when I talk about these things, and you talk about these things. Either any of us talk about these things, and then something reaffirms it by that occurring or that happening. That to me just is verification of it.
Yes, it is. It really is. That was wild. That was wild. I mean, it's almost like it lit up the whole like that whole side of the room. Hold on, I'm calling my sister. She's only 2 rooms away, but I mean, it's my show. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Who's gonna say no? Oh, hi. I need you to just come out just throw a robe on. Zaffis wants to say hello. He just really, really wants to see you. Just come see him, and he's a sad old man. Just make his Christmas.
See how jealous Annie gets. See.
She's coming. She's coming. She's putting a robe on, man. She's serious. She's coming. Great. That's so great. I'll let her sit down and chat with you for a minute. Hi, Peanut Buttercup. Yeah, she was supposed to be watching the dog, so I didn't have, a release the hounds moment in the house. That's the thing. When I'm up here in Georgia and it's Christmas and anything could happen, I could have one of my nieces or nephews walk in the door. It's 10:15 at night. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. I'm almost home, but I really got to pee. I need to use your bathroom. It's like, oh my, because they just live down the road 2 miles, and sometimes they can't make it 2 miles. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's how it is. It's a parent thing. It's just a parent thing. Are you my beautiful dog? Hold on. I got to get my beautiful dog. Come here. Come over here. Come here. Oh, say hello to Uncle Johnny. There he is. And this is my Peanut Buttercup. This is my baby. This is my baby. This is my sweet baby. Okay. All right. I'm going to put her in my chair.
Hey.
Well, hey, young lady, how are you?
I'm okay.
Oh, Mom. Hey, we got Mom in the background, too.
I'm doing good. No, long time no see.
I know. Everything is good in your world. Everything's good in mine.
I have to.
Oh, good.
Yeah, except that I smashed my thumb in the door today, and it hurt so freaking bad. Oh, I know. I'm on the ice pack, but But I got my Christmas decorations all done, and I'm really happy about that. So that's
there
good.
you go.
Yeah.
I'm glad. That's good to hear that. Yeah. I had to do an awful lot to get her. I said, "Where's my Christine? I want to see my Christine." She gets very jealous,
I know she does. I know. It's okay. I'm used to it. We're used to it. She went out to grab a smoke, I suspect. It's like, yeah, there goes Mom. She's in the background, a little hunched over.
Oh, yeah. No, she's taking off. She don't want no part of that.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, she's going to go get herself a cup of coffee, most likely. Yeah. But yeah, so you ready for the holidays? Is everything good? Are you done with all your
set.
events? Are you taking some time for you and the family? No,
December, I do everything I can just to stay put.
That's good. That's good.
Again, Christmas time's that time where no matter what, I don't care how old I get, it's still magical.
Yes.
It still stays magical.
We're the same way. We are so the same way. It really is, and it doesn't even matter if it's a shitty year where, so many awful things happened and it's like, it's just kind of, or if it's just, everything's going great. This year, everything's going great, so it's, it makes it doubly more fun. Yeah. It really does, and enjoyable, and everything falls into place, and I don't know, it's everything's going really good this year, so I'm really pleased.
That's good. That's good to hear. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we had a rough spot with Mom. I don't know if Ann told you about that. We had she hurt herself pretty bad. We thought she broke a rib, but it was, she ended up in the ER, and it was like several weeks of not really good, but then things got better, and she's doing a little bit better now. So
Good.
Yeah, it's much better. Yeah.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
yeah, we were teasing going back and forth when we were all up in Michigan, and I told her I walked up to your father. I said to your father, I said, those are all my sister wives. He goes, good, take them all, take them.
Yeah, she told me about the sister wife thing. Yeah. She said something about, you said that to your wife. I can't remember what she said.
Yeah.
You said something to your wife about the sister wives or something. What did she say? I can't remember what it was.
I was on the phone talking to my wife, Cheryl. And I said, Roger just gave me all of them and everything. All the sisters, those are my sister wives now. And she goes, oh, and how does Andrea feel about that?
Jealousy. Oh, jealousy. It's all right. Oh, goodness. What was that? Oh, that was the door. Oh, that sounded like something.
Yeah.
Really? Would you hear those people fighting out on the street?
I'm
like, oh my God. I'm in the back of the house and I'm here. You fucking son of a bitch. Like, where is this coming from? There were some people screaming at each other out on the street.
Just
I'm like,
one more happy family.
only where I live.
And then the dogs come busting in.
Yeah,
here.
and then the dogs came rolling in wanting to know what was going on. I swear to God. It's like, oh, God, you just can't escape white trash no matter what you do.
No matter where you go.
No matter where you go. All right, I'm giving you your seat back. I have to go get back on my ice pack.
Well, it was so good to see you.
Good to see you, too. I hope you have a lovely Christmas.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Holiday. Happy New Year to you. I'll probably talk to you before then, but
take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye, honey.
Oh God! Thanks for
dogs went out. Everything's
good
with
them.
them.
Sammy went out. He's done his business. He's good. Bye. And my mother, at some point, I believe, wandered into the room as well. Did she say hello? I don't even know why she came in, because she's just she woke up because we were making so much noise. I'm sure we woke her up, so she staggered.
No, she took a look and seen that we were all online, turned around, walked right back out. I said, that's her. She don't want to get involved.
No, oh no. Well, not in her robe and her hair all over the place. No. But that's okay. You know, it's kind of nice. I love being here because it's all very put together. And you know, when I'm in the man cave in Florida, it's different. You know, I'm isolated, and I've just got Peanut with me, and Dad opens the door just long enough to say goodnight when he goes off to bed, and I do my show. Here, anything could happen, anything. And it's kind of great because you get a glimpse into my family and how my life is with my mom and my sister here in Georgia. And so it's lovely. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about, to see if you remember, and I know you have like a bajillion different memories from a bajillion different conferences, but probably 7 or 8 years ago, I think it was the first time that I went to the Upper Peninsula, Michigan Paracon, and your table was right next to mine. And I thought, you know, this is going to be trouble. This is just going to be trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you were just pelting me with all kinds of, I mean, you are the only one that had an empty trash bin under your table because all of the trash was on my table. And you know, it was very playful and we had a wonderful time. And it was when the event was still rather small and we were all in the downstairs room across from the theater, you know.
The bingo room. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And I went out that night. There was some guy there that had some type of a box, a spirit box or something. And he had invited people to come outside with him and beckon the galactic family. And he was out there for the longest time and he wasn't really having any success. And he finally packed everything up and went back into the casino. And a lot of his followers went with him, but a lot stayed outside with me. And I started singing to the sky the way that I do. and they started coming in from all over, from every direction. People were snapping pictures left and right, and it was crazy. And Rosemary walked up to me that night, and she's like, "You are the most powerful woman I've ever met in my life." And I thought, okay, coming from her, you could have knocked me over with a feather. And we all went back into the casino, and we all went, and it was karaoke night, and we were all singing and dancing and carrying on and making absolute fools of ourselves. And the next morning, you walked into the conference room and you threw the paper on my table, the Sault Ste. Marie newspaper. And the headline on the paper was that there were, I think, 157 or 158 calls to the Sault Ste. Marie police station the night before of people reporting UFOs in the area. And you just pointed at it, and the paper was all folded up. And you looked at me and you said, "You did this." And I opened up the paper and I read the headline, and I just looked at you and I said, yes, I think I did. Yes, I did. And you were like, "I don't want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it." And you went back over to your table and then started throwing trash at me again. But that was the night that I found out that that's not a subject that you like to get into too much, that you have a little bit of fear and trepidation around our galactic family. And that was not something that you really wanted to experience, whether, and I basically told you, well, you're going to, whether you like it or not, because you're around me, and no matter where I go, there they are. And you were like, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It was adorable. You had everybody in stitches all around the table. And that was one of my fondest memories of you. And also one time, Allie Cotton and I had asked Allie if she would, John and I, Tenny, had some events coming up. And so I asked her if she would take a photograph of the two of us together so that I'd have a nice, polished, professional photograph to post for the event. And suddenly, right behind us, I feel a breeze. I feel the black curtain open. And my favorite photograph of you is with you photobombing me and Tenny while Allie was trying to take our pictures. It was hysterical. And then Greta got in on it. Chip got in on it.
Yep.
You guys are ball busters from way back. And my God, can you cut a rug? You can dance. I mean, you can dance. It's great. You're a remarkable human being, John Zaffis. You really are.
I try to be something. I don't know what, but I try to be something.
Well, what are you doing? What are your plans for the holiday? Are you done traveling now for the year?
Yes, I am home. I have actually cut back from a lot of things that I was doing.
Yeah.
Again, not that I don't want to do stuff or, do things, but try to keep it now to doing just 2 events, monthly, with the exception of in the fall. But all of, Cher's home, I'm home, we're both home. And the running joke in the family was, with the both of you being home all the time, you're going to kill each other. Believe it or not, we get along better now than we did when we weren't always at home. So, again, it's just, it's where I like being home more now than, it's just more comfortable.
Yes.
And it's more where, I do what I need to do, or do the events that, that we schedule, or, we pull together, and take that downtime in between, and to be home. I like being home more now than I ever did.
Yeah. Well, you live in one of the prettiest towns in the Northeast.
I love it. I love
yeah. It's like, oh my God, I live here.
Well, that's why I always laugh, because people, pick on me. As you know, I walk at night. I love to walk.
Yeah.
And people go, "That's too dangerous. You shouldn't be doing that." I live on the coastline. Everything's lit up. I'm a mile north from, all the stores and everything. I walk on a main road and everything. So I don't get as concerned probably as I probably should. But again, I don't worry too much about that with doing that. But that's a major thing. I love to walk. I love to walk around, and it's just a cool
it
thing.
Clears your mind too. I mean, it expands your mind. It clears your mind. It gets all the endorphins kicking. When I take peanut butter cup, there's my baby, out for a walk at night, and it's really quiet in the neighborhood, and I can take her up one side of the lane and down the other side of the lane, and up around the corner, and she has her favorite spots. She likes to stop, and it's a thing that we do together at night.
Mm-hmm.
That's lovely, and it's those moments where we bond and we talk, and I know when she's paused, there's a reason. And so that gives me a chance to look up into the sky. And where I live is right on. You have to come to my house. You've got to come down. You haven't seen it yet, but it's on the south shore of Lake Apopka. So there are huge birds and lots of wildlife. A few months ago, I was doing an interview, and I came outside afterward, and this very large, about this big around, black thing came running out of the garage because Dad had forgotten to close the door, and it was a baby bear. And I got really excited. I was like, oh, it's a baby bear. Oh, it's a bear. And then I thought, okay, wherever there's a baby, there's a mother. Okay, yeah. I'm not going to run after and try to pet the baby bear. I'm not. I'm going to go into the house. I'm going to inform my father that he left the garage door open and a bear just exited the garage, and that he should go to the door and bang on the garage door and make sure that the mother is out of the garage before he closes the garage door if he wants a car left in the morning. And so he did. He did exactly that. Bless his heart. But, where we live we're surrounded by wildlife. We've had a gator in our front yard. We've had, foxes running through, and you name it. If it exists in Central Florida, we've had it on the property. The only thing I have not yet seen is a Florida panther, although we do have bobcats and, lots and lots of critters. But you should come down. I will protect you. I will make sure that nothing bites you, stings you, threatens you in any conceivable way. And I would like to introduce you to our ghost, who coincidentally is also named George. And leave it to my father to have chosen a haunted house when he was looking in Winter Garden for a place, when he had just had it with, where he was living much closer to Orlando proper. And it was getting crazy and busy and loud and dangerous. And so he moved out more into the country, per se, and found this remarkable house that's got a spirit in it named George, who did not die in the house, but he had a stroke in the house. And he's not really fond of me, but he'll talk to you. He'll think you're the bee's knees, just like he does my father. He's a wicked misogynist, but no, he really is. But I'll before I leave him behind, I'll make sure he's a feminist. I'll make sure of it. It'll be fine. It will. It'll be fine. So you cut back some this year. I'm cutting back next year because I have projects that are in the works. I know you too, but you're not really free to talk about that yet, right?
Nothing,
am I right? No. Okay. No. Okay. I know. I signed those stupid things too. It's like, yeah, I'm doing this. Yeah, I'm all in. Yeah, I can't say a freaking word about it.
It gets crazy with it, but again, when I do finally move forward with something, I want it to be unique. I want it to be special. I want it to be, again, what it's all about. And I guess, when it does happen, unfortunately, I probably would have been back on TV by now if it wasn't for COVID. I'll put it to you that way. But
Well, yes, I know.
a lot of different things would, over the past couple of years got shifted. But I'm kind of happy it did that, because it makes me take that step back and reevaluate certain things on what I would like to see happen for, future events. Again, one of the key things, and I keep hoping for it, is to be able to find that perfect piece of property to move the museum on.
I know you've been looking for years and
I
years.
keep looking,
and then COVID.
Yeah, it's a tough type of thing, because people say, "Well, just rent a place." It's not that easy,
No.
to just do something and to just put it there. But again, I'm kind of hoping there's a couple of things I got my eye on that I kind of hope might pull together for next year. I'm hopeful, and it'll be super cool.
Well, I'm so glad, honey. But my advice to you is don't rent a place, because the landlord could sell it right from underneath you. And I know, with the work that you put in to creating the museum as it is now, and Erin told me after her trip through it, and Julie Griffin, she and Julie went down and spent an afternoon with you, and she said, she sent me pictures, and I was like, oh my God, it's more packed than I ever saw it.
Oh yeah.
And if you take the chance on renting a place, then you don't have any control over it if the landlord gets a better deal and decides, I want to sell it right out from underneath you. And then what the hell do you do?
Exactly. That's why people say that to me too. They'll go, well, just rent the place. I go, no, it's not that easy to just pack up all this stuff and move it in. Just like you said, that's a common thing, especially with commercial property. People buy it for investment, then they sell it off. So again, you got to be very guarded and careful with the circumstances. Number two, there have been a couple of situations that would have been perfect, but there were other tenants in other buildings, and they weren't comfortable with the paranormal being on the property. So, you come up against a lot of things, and I can understand it. I can remember one person saying to me they were so petrified over the fact of it, they told the landlord, "No, I'm afraid that might curse my business."
Oh God, yeah.
But it's things that you come up against. But like I said, again, sooner or later, that right thing will come along, and I'll be able to pull it together.
Yeah, there's no question in my mind about that. I wanted to invite Tony on board with us, and if Bill would like to hop in.
Oh,
if
yeah.
either of them have fielded any questions for you. We've got about 15 minutes left in the show. And, if anybody has, I'm sure the chat room has been very busy, but I don't see it on my version, my iteration of the show. So, Tony, did anybody have any questions?
I didn't see any specific question, but the comments were nonstop all night long. I highly suggest both of you, after the show is over, to go through and look. I mean, there's comments about everything you were talking about, people that were there, people that, had experiences, people that were talking about Paracons that they saw you guys at, and so there is a ton of information. Sorry, I had to mute for a second. My dog's barking, but I'll just say, if anybody does have a question, feel free to post it now, and we can bring it up and post it up on the screen. But I do have one for John, and this was based off of something that I saw him do on our show. But I'm real curious, because I didn't even know he had this ability. But John, when we had you on, you nailed 12 out of 12 videos that we played down to where they were, the location, from a standpoint of what type of building it was to what type of spirit was in there. Is that still occurring for you? I never knew you had that ability, and was blown away when I saw that.
Well, I think all of yous were that night on the show, but again, it was just. I don't know exactly what occurred, exactly what had happened, but it was just like boom, 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 boom. It just kept firing, and just it was just the way that it happened. Because a lot of people say to me, "You're more gifted and psychic than you'll ever say or admit to," and I go, "No, it's just the way things occur, the way things happen." Because I don't look at myself that way. I just don't. Again. Have something occurred like that since your show? No.
It was literally mind-blowing. I mean, 12 videos he knew nothing about, never saw, literally would name off 3-4 things per video and was spot on every single one. It was absolutely amazing. Okay, there are definitely questions coming in. Yeah, so here's the first one.
Okay, and I've got one from Bill too. Okay. But it's in the chat. It's in the private chat, and I'll put my cheaters on. Jolene. Oh, Jolene, God bless you. Your gift package came to us today, and it was extraordinary. And I did not have time to call you, but God bless you, honey. What a beautiful package of gifts she sent from my family. I just love my dear Jolene. Okay, Jolene, is it possible? What was her question?
Is that Yeah, no, I just read it. She's asking, about the dream state, to have something reoccur in the dream state that continue. I believe most of our information that a lot of us receive is in the dream state. And it can be reoccurring, and it could be things that happen. I mean, I very seldomly remember dreams, very, very rarely, but when I do remember a dream, it wakes me up, and then it will stay with me. Mm-hmm. And I notice with those situations that when that does occur, I always make sure I tell my wife about it, because I'll tell her it's going to parallel or something's going to be significant with this within several days. Mm-hmm. And usually something will line up and something will tie in. So I believe
dreaming. Yeah.
Yeah. But I again, that, and I'm going to share this. That's how Rosemary and I became very good friends way, way, way back. I was lecturing on dreams, talking about, somebody threw a question out, and I started talking about the dream state. Then Rosemary got up on the stage and she goes, "I have never been more impressed than listening to John Zaffis talk about what people experience in the dream state. You never hear anybody." And I'm hitting the two people on each side of me. "Freaking Rosemary Ellen Guiley mentioned my name up on stage." I said that, and I'm hitting that because I didn't really know her at that point. Mm-hmm. She was my idol, but and then afterwards, we were standing in the back, and I was talking to her. I said, "Thank you for mentioning my name and everything." She goes, "I knew who you were." Like that, how Rosemary would handle herself and present. I go, "You did?" She goes, "Well, of course I know who you are." And she would just smile, and then she walked away and did her thing. I was like, "Holy shit." And then she became my sister after that. But anyways, I believe very strongly in the dream state, and I believe a lot of information is sent to each and every one of us to help us along our journey, along our path. I believe very, very strongly in that.
Yeah, I agree completely. I'm totally on board with you with that. Okay, Bill, the general manager of KGRA, has a question. Does John have artifacts or objects that he would no way present to the public due to the possible dangers of contact between the object and a person? And then he followed up with something he would conclude is just too dangerous for the public to be in contact with. Do you have any objects that you consider to harbor so much negative energy that you would not expose other people to, I guess is...
Yes, there's there's quite a few of them. Mm-hmm. And again, when you deal with any items that have been used in rituals or have been used in hardcore situations, there, Annie, I don't know, you might remember it in the corner is where I have a lot of that stuff downstairs.
Yeah.
And I don't usually talk about it. I don't usually bring it out into the forefront. And it's not necessarily that I'm concerned so much about the item per se, but the energy that's affiliated, the energy that was done, because that's done with intent and purpose. It's done deliberately. So therefore, by a person touching or handling certain items, can that trigger something on an energy level with another individual? Yes, and I don't like taking on that burden of responsibility of knowing that I willingly put somebody in a situation they don't belong in. So therefore, there are things that I'm very guarded with, very careful. Annie, I don't let everybody in and out of the museum.
No, you don't.
Again, that's when
to go in.
Well, it's I'm usually careful because again it's just the nature of it, and I just don't like to ever see anybody in harm's way. That's me though.
Yes, yeah.
Today we know it's different. People know something's a demonic haunted item. They'll throw themselves on freaking top of it. But again, that's just the nature of people today. It's a different environment.
It's kind of, curious. You have to remind them curiosity killed the cat. It is. Bill said thank you for answering his question.
He's very welcome.
He is a sweetheart. He is. No, the thing is that we have to be responsible. I mean, I wrote a chapter. It's all fun and games until someone gets hurt in my books, and about a very specific incident. Laurie St. Maurice, is there a location you haven't investigated yet that you would like to?
Tons. There's tons and tons of places I've never had an opportunity, to go to, because people think I've been to everywhere, but there's just so many that are out there that I haven't had that opportunity. A lot of the major places that I have had that opportunities because we've done events or we've done, paranormal conventions at them, that I've had that opportunity. Because again, too, I do a lot of traveling in the fall, but I don't have that opportunity to go to a lot of the places that are around there. I just don't, it doesn't work out where, that can happen. And people say too, well, when you're out traveling, filming or anything too, you should have a ton of time. I don't know about anybody else. I didn't have all that kind of time on my hands to be able to go out and, do different things and be able to check out different locations, sometimes a few in between, but it just doesn't happen. But no, there are so many places, the opportunity ever presents itself, because what I like more than anything is going to a place for the first time with other people that have never been there. And we all have the same experiences.
Yes.
That to me is so satisfying. And, it just solidifies a lot of the different things that, people could be experiencing. So, there's tons.
You are the first time that the farmhouse, by invitation of the owner at the time,
correct,
conducted investigation at the farm post Ed and Lorraine, was when you were there with Jason,
Grant, Steve, Dustin.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about your first night in that farmhouse, John?
It rocked. Again, I have never been in that freaking house when there hasn't been activity yet.
Yeah.
And I can remember sitting into what used to be your mom and dad's bedroom. Correct me if I'm wrong. Off that back room where all the books are.
Doors. Yeah, it's a library now.
Okay, yeah. And I was sitting there. There was a little desk and a chair and just tons and tons of books. And I was sitting there, and and I know the house, you're going to have vibrate, but this was that vibration that doesn't happen from people walking. It was consistent, and it didn't let up, and it just kept going, and it almost felt like the little chair that I was sitting in was moving. And they actually put a camera, but they didn't catch anything. And I don't think it aired in the episode, but I remember turning and looking. I go, freaking tell me that's showing up on film. And the camera guy just shook his head back and forth. I said, I'm telling you, I know what's happening and what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that always occurs with me in that house, and I still don't know why, I don't think it has anything whatsoever to do with Bathsheba. I always see that black shadow form.
Yes.
And it's usually
Yep.
right near that doorway, right near that freaking fireplace
Yep.
in that big living room area.
Yes.
And I started referring to it as the Banshee. Now, the reason I call it the Banshee is because it always seems something happens 2 or 3 days afterwards that I'll get some information, from, something happening to somebody. They got sick, somebody passed away. And it happens every freaking time I go. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I can't answer it.
I think that everything's connected, and it's your connection with Ed and Lorraine, their connection with the farmhouse, your connection with our family. I think that I don't think it's a matter of you bringing your own attachments or anything. You don't have attachments. You know very well how to clear yourself of that kind of thing. So you come into that house pure every time, and they know you. They recognize you. They get excited, and the house gets active every time you walk in the door, John. And I know because the same thing happens with me.
Yeah.
And, I can't explain it. We probably never will. But let's make a pact that we'll get together there sometime next year and do an event, that we kind of co-host with Jacqueline, and let her call the shots, and we'll just be there, and we will rock the netherworld together. I can't believe it's the end of the show. I can't believe 2 hours went by that fast. Tony, thank you so much.
Dude, good to see you again.
You too, John.
Wonderful. And thank you, Bill, at KGRA, and all of our viewers and our listeners worldwide. I present to you the inimitable Mr. John Zaffis. It has been my pleasure and my honor for both of us to host you on A World Awakening tonight. You have been a bright light in the firmament as always, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us tonight, my dear, dear John.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm so glad, to be able to be on. I'll tell you what, this 2 hours flew by like I can't believe. Again, yeah. So, it's always good. It's always, interesting to be able to do the different things and to be able to connect. And, it was so good to be able to see my Christine also.
I know. I know how you feel about her. I'm a little pissed off about that, but no, it's okay. It's fine. No, I'm good. I am. See the face? See the face? Okay, so with that, we will say goodnight to all. I hope you all enjoyed it. Everybody, if we don't see you again before the holidays are over, have a happy, healthy holiday season. But feel free to join us next week because, we're just getting this party started. And John Zaffis, I'll say it for him. He's everywhere. Just Google his name. Just Google his name, and you'll get the website, and you'll get the books, and you'll get the museum, and you'll get the 1,000 interviews. And, he's just everywhere, omnipresent like God. So with that, I love you with all my heart. I'll call you. And
all right. Hey, I wish everybody, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everything.
For the rest of us. Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Wonderful.
Great to be on.
Good night,
Take
my
care.
darlings.